Hello and welcome back to my channel, where today I'm going to be talking about the three newest additions to my palette collection, these three beauties from Ace Beauté. I've wanted all three of these for quite a while. I love their color stories. Now, I bought each of these secondhand and I was told that two of them are the new formulation, but one of them we're not sure. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing a general overview of the three palettes and then taking the one that I'm not sure about and swatching it and comparing those swatches to the swatches of the old formula that I found online to see if I can figure out if I have the new or the old formula. So if you're interested in seeing that, then don't go anywhere. Today's eyeshadow look was filmed and I will link it down below. And if you like to see lots of colorful content on your timeline, lots of eyeshadow tutorials, rankings, collection tours, things like that, I hope you'll consider liking and subscribing because currently I'm uploading about 3 videos a week. Alright, so let's talk about these palettes. I want to first talk about the Ace Beauté Paradise Fallen palette. This is a cool toned purple color story. I think it's really beautiful. I think it's really well done. I think it's really interesting. It's unlike any other purple palette I've seen. When I look at the ABH Norvina palette, that one's sort of purple. This is what I think that one should have been. This one is more true purples in a variety of tones and depths. And then we've got a whole row up here of things that are not purple but work with purple. We've got silvers, burgundies, browns, grays, and then this one right here, it looks kind of like a light dove gray lavender sort of blend. It's a really pretty palette. I have not used this yet. I'm quite excited to play with it, but I wanted to make this video first so that I could introduce this to you. Anyway, this is the Paradise Fallen palette from Ace Beauté. I'm not going to do any swatching of this palette. I know this is the new formula, and I'm just really excited to dip into it. Next one that I got is the Flare palette from Ace Beauté. I love this color story. This color story just makes me give like happy shivers. I think it's so beautiful. I used this yesterday and there will be a look live on my YouTube channel soon using this palette. It's beautiful. I have been told that this is the new formula. When I asked the seller if she knew, she said that she actually contacted Ace Beauté and asked about her order because she didn't know if it was the new formula or the old, and they told her this was the new. So I am taking her at her word. I am assuming that this is the new formula. I have to say it performed very well. So even if it's the old formula, currently I have no complaints. I used about 6 of these shadows, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I used 5 of these shadows yesterday and I had no problems. So even if it's the old formula, I'm very happy with it, and it's just so beautiful. I love this palette. This could easily become a favorite for me. It's so lovely. And then the third one that I got is the one that truly gives me the shivers. It is the Oceanic palette. I think this is amazing. This color story has been curated so well. It is such a beautiful combination of blues and greens. We've got vibrant jewel tones. We've got more pastel-y sorts of tones. We've got grungy tones. We've got so much variety and options within a basically blue and green palette. It's done super well. So in today's video, I'm going to be swatching this palette because this is the one where the seller was not sure. She had no idea if it was new or old formula. All she could tell me was the month that she bought it, and that was after they had released the new stuff, so she doesn't know. And so I was hoping that by swatching this, I could compare it to some of the swatches that people put on YouTube about a year ago when the palettes were initially released with the old formula. And maybe comparing the two, I'll be able to figure out if this is old or new formula. I kind of feel like it might be the old formula. The reason I say that is because when I was doing research for this video, I just found a video where the girl was taking, her name is Victoria Montefusco, and I'll put her picture up here. She took the old and the new palettes and she compared them, swatched them side by side. She did an eye look, you know, old versus new. She compared the actual physical palettes, and she showed a picture of the palettes next to each other where the old one was thinner and the new one was thicker. Now, if that's the case, then this one certainly looks thinner. I don't have the new one to compare. I could compare it to the Paradise Fallen palette, which is obviously much thicker, but this is also a different series. This is part of the Paradise collection, and this Oceanic palette was not part of the Paradise collection. So based off of Victoria's screenshot, I think that this is probably the old formula. However, it's the same thickness as my Flare palette, and I was told that my Flare palette is the new formula. So I really don't know. I mean, I think Ace Beauté is absolutely awesome for having taken people's constructive criticism and reformulated and re-released everything. However, I wish that they had made some kind of indication on the packaging so that on the used market we know if this is old or new, because the price is certainly reflected in the formulation. You can buy the old formula on Ace Beauté's website for $15, I think, whereas the new formula is almost $40. So there's a huge difference there, and so that's not always reflected in the secondhand market. I don't know. I have a suspicion this is the old formula, but I don't know. I still think I might love it. Like, a lot of people didn't have a problem with the old formula, so I'm gonna say formula far too many times in this video. Let's just get to swatching because my baby is napping and I'm trying to get this done while she's quiet. I'm gonna swatch across from left to right and hopefully clean my fingers off decently with a baby wipe in between them. So let's go. First, we're gonna take the shade Bora Bora, which is a beautiful baby blue shimmer. It's really pretty. Then we'll swatch the shade Jellyfish. This is more of a grungy, greeny yellow shimmer. It actually looks pretty sage green on my finger. I don't know. It's really nice. It doesn't look quite as yellow on my finger as it seems to look in the pan. And then this is the shade Mykonos. Mykonos is a beautiful seafoam green shimmer. Lovely. So let's swatch these. Bora Bora, Jellyfish, and Mykonos. I'm going to swatch this way. Here is Bora Bora. This is Jellyfish. And here's Mykonos. I mean, they don't have insane pigmentation, but I don't have the best lighting either. I think they're really pretty. None of them feel terribly dry, so I don't know. A lot of people were saying that the older formula was dry, particularly in the mattes, and so I'm curious to see how the mattes swatch. I'll have to swatch them closer together too if I want to fit them all. Okay, now I'm going to swatch. Let's see. This is Blue Clam and Pacific. Blue Clam is a deep royal blue, quite a deep color. Pacific, it could look black, but it's actually got a lot of green in it, which you would see were you to blend it out. And then this is the shade Bali, which is a lovely periwinkle blue matte. All three of these are matte, so I guess we will see how they perform. So, there's one. Here's the other. And then this is that blue periwinkle. Yeah, you can see that this one, actually, it's more blue than green. I don't know. It's not a black for sure. It's got a blue-green teal sort of aspect to it. I'm going to try to build up that periwinkle shade a bit. Based on what I'm seeing, I think I do have the old formula. It's not very pigmented. It's not swatching amazing. It's a little bit thin. But I'm going to keep going and see how things go from here. The next shades that we have are Fiji, which is right here. This is like a Caribbean blue-green. It's really pretty. This is Fiji. Here's the shade Turtle, which is like a foresty green matte. And then the shade Marina is kind of a, I won't say navy blue, but it's a deeper blue shimmer. It has like a silver reflect or silver sparkle to it. So let's see how they swatch. Swatching is kind of uncomfortable. Like, to get a full arm, you hold your arm up in a funny way to the camera. This is a gorgeous shade right here. That one's so pretty. I think that one, I don't remember what that was called. How did they turn out? Again, ooh, that's pretty. Again, none of them are striking me as being super dry. They're certainly not swatching badly. They're not incredible, like right home about. But I haven't swatched the other palettes either. Maybe I should swatch the other palettes, the ones that I've been told are new, and see how they perform, like swatch-wise compared to these. I don't know. At the end of the day, it's a matter of how it translates onto the eyes, how it builds, how it blends. So swatches are great, but they're not the be-all, end-all. We're gonna swatch Bay next, which is a beautiful sky blue shimmer, Bay. And then the shade Anemone, which looks a lot like Jellyfish, except, yeah, this one has much more of an olivey tone to it. Sorry, my fingers are getting dirty now. An olivey tone instead of the sage green. And then here we have Algae, which is a vibrant neon greeny yellow sort of shadow. That one's probably going to be a lot of fun. Let's see. I'm going to run out of space on my arm. Oh, noes! See how they go. Like on my elbow over here. That algae color is really vibrant. I think I did get a bit of dryness with this blue shimmer here, but it's not terrible. It's not terrible. This one right here, Anemone, I think is what it was called. The one that looked kind of like jellyfish, but was more of a yellow-green, more olivey. That one does not have a ton of vibrance and pigment in it. It's not terrible. It's just not super exciting either, as far as the performance on the swatches go. Also, I don't have any primer or anything else on my arm, so I don't know. They could just be swatches, but I have a feeling this is the old formula. And the last three we're going to swatch are Seaweed. This is Seaweed right here, a very grungy pea green sort of brown. On the finger, it looks more green than brown. In the pan, it looks a little bit more brown. This is the shade Seagrass. So we have Seaweed and Seagrass, which looks like a bright grassy green. It's very pretty. And then the shade Lagoon is a deep blue matte. Definitely navy. And there's a lot of pigment. You can see, like, there's a lot of pigment. So I think, oh dear. Okay, I clearly made a mistake of starting too low in these swatches. I'm going to swatch these last three up high. So we've got one here. And then this one up here. So it was Seaweed and Seagrass. And then finally Lagoon is up on my wrist here. I'm curious to see if these guys stain. And how do they look? Lagoon felt a little bit dry. I'm going to say, can you see? I'm going to say that based off of what I see right now, it's probably the old formula. I will turn off this video because my phone is recording. So I'll turn off this video and go and look at the pictures, like the screenshots that I took of other people's swatches with the old formula. And I'm going to compare to what I see on my arm here. And then I'll come back with my final thoughts. Okay, so my final thoughts after reviewing what I have found on YouTube regarding the old formula versus the new formula. I'm sure that this one is the new formula. I did notice something with the packaging, and I'll get to that in a minute. Based off of the swatches alone, I think that I have the old formula for the Oceanic palette because some of the shimmers are not quite as creamy in the swatches themselves, and also a couple of the mattes, particularly the green matte. I just washed my arm off. I probably shouldn't have. But anyway, particularly in one of the dark green mattes, it looked a little bit patchier, a little bit thinner in the swatch itself. Now, there is some discrepancy when it comes to swatches because some people will swatch and, you know, go back and forth until they get a really good payoff so that you can get an accurate representation of the color. And then other people want to see how it performs on one swipe only, so they'll just swatch and done. So you get some disparity between the quality of swatches themselves, and it's a little bit hard to make a decision based off of that. But based off of what I've seen and what I experienced, I think that my Oceanic palette is the old formula of Ace Beauté. So I'm curious to see how it performs when I actually try it in an eye look and, you know, put it on my face. Now, about packaging, I watched a video from Angelica Nyquist, and she had already decluttered all of her old palettes because she just wasn't happy with them, but she got all the new ones sent to her in PR, and all of her newer palettes from this collection, the ones that were reformulated, were in a thicker package. And the reason I noticed that now, without having noticed it before, was because that video from Victoria at Montefusco, she had the new palette and then the old palette like this. And again, I'll put that video up so you can see it. You can see this. The new palette is probably almost twice as thick as the old palette, and both of mine are quite thin. Whereas in Angie's video, when she was talking about all the new formulations, she was holding up her new formulation for the Paradise Fallen palette, and it looked like it was about the same thickness as the new formulation for these palettes here. So I took a screenshot of her holding up her two new palettes for these two, and I will put that up for you as well so you can see her individual palettes are thicker than both of these. So now I think that the lady I bought this palette from lied to me and said it was the new formula when in actuality it was not. That would explain her price point, but if she lied to me, it's still not cool. I used this palette yesterday and I had no problems with it. So if I can expect that kind of performance from the old formula, that's perfectly fine. I'm not going to complain that I got a nice eyeshadow palette for a low price. I am a little annoyed though, because I'm quite sure that she lied to me, because when you look at people holding up these new palettes, they are significantly thicker in their profile. And so that, honestly, that's pretty annoying. That's pretty annoying, but I guess you can't expect integrity from everyone. I used the Flare palette yesterday. I had no problems. I look forward to using it more, and hopefully I will continue to get beautiful eyeshadow results from it. And I'm just going to let that go. The Oceanic palette I have not used. I think it's the older formula. I look forward to playing with it, and hopefully I get as good a result from the Oceanic as I did from the Flare. Amy Loves Makeup said when she compared the old and the new side by side in side-by-side eye looks, she said that the Oceanic palette was the one that she noticed the least difference in as far as old versus new formula. I mean, it performed in general better, but it wasn't this huge discrepancy between how they performed. So at the end of the day, it's just a matter of what kind of results I get when I use it in an eye look. Like, I don't want to sit here being hyper scientific and trying to analyze everything to death. I just wanted to get an idea of what I could expect. If I can expect this kind of performance from this palette, even though I think they're both the old formulation, I'm really not going to complain. Some people had no problems with the older formula, and so I think I'm just going to rest in that. Hopefully I get great results with the Oceanic palette. I really love the color story of Oceanic, so I will say that if I don't get results that I really, really like, I may buy that palette in the newer formula at some point later down the road. Just because if you can have that kind of color story in a fantastic formula, you would never need a blue-green palette again. Like, that would be everything you need in all of its prettiness. But I'm quite happy with my experience with the Flare palette. I don't know. I will dip into the Oceanic palette and just see how it works. And so that is my video. Hope you enjoyed it. I would love to know if you have any of these palettes and what your experience has been, because like I said, some people said they had no problems with the older formula and they love their palettes. And if you're one of those people, that would be very encouraging to me, considering that now I think I have 2 of the older formula when I thought that I just had 1. Anyway, that's my video for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more. And until we see each other again, I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.